Hello, Jane Fan de Stools here. I'm doing a little promised wrap-up or vlog of the Helpmann Awards the other evening. So it is award season. We've just had the Emmys last night, of course, and my favourite last week was the Helpmann Awards, which is the Australian, kind of like the Australian version of the Tony Awards, which is everything on theatre and things like that, everything on the stage. And it was such a lovely night. I really liked it. Helen taped it, and then Helen and Pieter and I, we watched it on the Foxtel, which was really good because we could forward through all the boring bits, you know. And so there was a lovely old host who did it. He was a lovely old man who was the host, and he was really good, I thought, because he was very funny, which is very important. We go through that in a minute why that's important. But he was very funny, but he also had this way of everything he introduced, he made it seem like he thought it was not very good, you know, the people weren't very good. And it was really good because I thought it was really Sydney, you know, which is where they held the award. And it had that real Sydney edge, you know, which was lovely. So it reminded me about why, you know, it is so important to choose the right host, because I know about these things because I am involved in our own awards that we have every year with other self-help courses in my area. We have a thing called the Self-Help Industry Trophy, or SHIT for short. And yes, I know everyone always says that we didn't really think that through, okay, but that's not what it means. It is called Self-Help Industry Trophy, but that's a mouthful, so just, yeah, we call it the shits. So anyway, we do that every year, and we got together, us guys putting that together, and it's very important. We talked about that when we look for hosts and when we look for people who can get up and do presenting. You just can't have anyone, you know. Excuse me. You've got to make sure that you have either a really guy, he can be anything, just funny or nice looking or whatever. If you have a girl, she has to be nice looking. That is very important, okay? She doesn't have to be funny, but she has to be nice looking. Excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat. So, she can be also nice looking and funny, because if she's that and she's also a lesbian, then it's fine, like, you know, because then she's like a man, like Ellen, who did the Oscars. That's also fine. But you can't just have anyone, you know, like we had a lovely girl who was in the course who was so inspiring. This girl, she was, you know, had survived cancer, and she had really, I mean, the doctor said she would never live, you know, after she had the cancer. Then she had a car accident, and again the doctors were saying she'd never live, and she really did. She got herself back from nothing, you know, and came to do one of the courses in the you know, in the shits, and one of our group, and I mean, she was so exciting and so amazing as a person, but she was in a wheelchair, you see, and you just can't have that. It's confusing for people. Doesn't make you look like you're Venus, you know, so you've got to make sure that you have the right host. Also fat people, you can't have that either, because that's confusing. Unless they, you know, if they're really funny, then that's okay, because then they can be fat, but then they have to be very fat, and you know, otherwise, and they have to be funny, or they can just be fat and be a man. That's okay too, actually. Anyway, so enough about the hosts. So we had great performances. They did the wonderful Circle of Life, which is from The Lion King. Gosh, it was so good. I thought to myself, it is even better than the Gosford amateur production of Avenue Q, and that's saying something, because the Gosford players are very good, but it was even better than that, I thought. They were amazing. So we had that, and we had a lovely performance also from the Wakikeri Stedford, with the boys doing Singing in the Rain, and then doing some Aboriginal dancing in their football shorts. That was a wonderful one, and I think that was, I couldn't quite hear the introduction, but I think it was from Wakikeri Stedford, so that was also great. And they had some wonderful winners. Craig McLaughlin, he won for the show. I can't remember the show that he won for, but he was lovely. I always remember him from Neighbours all those years ago, and he did. Interestingly enough, when he got up to do his speech, he chose to do a monologue, and I thought he's going to get the cut off, but apparently the musical director lady was his girlfriend, so she just let him talk, which was great. And then she just made it up in other people's speeches. She just cut them short and because you have to make up the time somewhere. So that was good. And then finally, The King and I. Now, I was very confused by The King and I have to say, for their little performance. They had the two kings, and I don't know why they cast it like that, because I think that would be very confusing coming to see. Oh, I don't know what happened there, but something stopped. I thought the whole thing had stopped. So yes, that would be very confusing because you just don't know who is who. But anyway, they've cast two people to do the prince guy for the king, and funnily enough, one of the guys, he's supposed to be the king of Siam, but one of the guys was white. That was the opera singer Teddy Tahini Rhodes, and he is just white, which I found really interesting. I mean, it didn't really make much sense to me unless the King of Siam is a giant with Michael Jackson's skin disease, but that he was one of them. And then the other guy was Lou Diamond Phillips, who was he's a lovely guy. I think he's a Spanish or Filipino or something like that. He was in The Outsiders, I think, in the 80s. He was very famous. So yeah, he's very famous. So I understand why they want to put him in the show, because he's got such a big profile. Yeah, it was interesting that they chose to have those two people. I suppose they don't have any Asian performers probably in Australia, so that's why they do it. I mean, it's not their fault with the producers. If you don't have the people, then what can you do? So anyway, so I just want to finish off. It's getting a bit long, the vlog, but just there was a little bit of things I saw on the internet about the nominations, and I just thought I can help there a little bit, guys, because of my experience with the shits. Is what we do is we just nominate the people that we like. That is, I think, important, because we started the shits. We put it together, me and Pete, the psychic gardener, and Tony, who does the colour aromatherapy. Aromatherapy. So we guys, we started it. So we just nominate the people that makes us look good, and I think that's important because it's our awards, and then we share it with other people. But really, I mean, it is to make people understand a little bit about the industry that you're in. Like we in self-help, you guys are in theatre, and so I think that is often really helpful. Then you can control it a bit more if you just nominate the people that you like and that you think are going to make your course or your show look good, and then it can go from there. You can change the rules and do things if you need to do that. So that's it. That is the nominations and the Helpmanns and the award season wrap up.